bringing sexy back. Yeah. The other boys don't know how to act. Yeah. I think it's special what's behind your back. Yeah. So turn around and I'll pick up the slack. Yeah. Pick up the slack.
And now, it's Happy Hour with Dana Pepper.
Woo! Welcome to Happy Hour. I am your host, Dana Pepper, and wow is all I can say to the response and feedback from last week's show. I mean, it's been absolutely incredible. So positive, so supportive, and just utterly amazing to me. And I mean, friends, family, supporters, and fans. I've got fans. How awesome is that I've got fans? Anyway, and I want to give a special thanks to my guest from last week, Steve Sapato. What an awesome guest he was. And I must say he was definitely a good sport considering the subject matter. We're definitely going to have him back in to talk with us about his area of expertise. But today, we are all about the boobies. We are all about the tatas and the Twin Peaks. And, you know, I'm making a lot of jokes about it, but in reality, has there ever been a body part that's been so celebrated in history? I mean, it's celebrated in art, in literature, and just in daily life in general. We've got hundreds of words to describe breasts. People have composed songs about breasts, right? Like, that's just crazy to me. And on top of all of that, there is an entire industry that's cropped up just around breast and their augmentation and how to make them look and the shape and the form and the lift and the this. It's amazing to me. So this is a happy hour salute to breasts in honor of Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Now, I want to get started by pointing out that there has been, and I started seeing this a few weeks ago, excuse me, but there's a post swimming around Facebook right now, and it says, when it comes to breasts, mammogramming is better than Instagramming. I think that's hilarious. But how true is that? Because one could save your life. The other could cost you your job. You know what I mean? So, you know, take your pick. But in all seriousness, ladies, we have got to be doing our part to keep our girls healthy. You gotta know thyself. And if you're too young to get a mammogram, then honestly, you should be feeling yourself up every chance you get. You should know every curve, every nuance of all your lady parts. So if ever there is anything that's not supposed to be there, you're gonna be the first to know about it. And I know that I'm trying to, infuse humor into this, but it's truly a matter of life and death. According to the National Breast Cancer Foundation, every year over 220,000 women in the U.S. are diagnosed with breast cancer, and more than 40,000 of them die from it. So knowing yourself physically and being able to identify those abnormalities, that could literally save your life. And that brings me to my guest today. My guest today is a breast cancer survivor, a true warrior queen. She is a public speaker. She is a budding author. She is on the board of directors of the nonprofit organization My Hope Chest, which we're going to talk a lot about later on in the show. But she is also the new director of the Employee Cancer Assistance Program for RN Cancer Guides. I would like to definitely extend a warm welcome to Miss Angelique Newman.
Thank you so much, Dana. It's fabulous to be here.
Well, I am thrilled that you're here because, not only is it important for us to, as women, to share our stories, but it's also important for us to be doing what we can on a personal level. And I know that when Angelique and I met, she and I met through a mutual friend at the Center Club, because the Center Club, that's like my home away from home.
Fabulous.
Right, of course.
Everybody loves the Center Club.
Everybody loves the Center Club. But when we met, I remember thinking to myself, what an amazing spirit, what an amazing smile, and what light behind your eyes. Like, I had no idea. everything, that you had gone through. And when Angelique began to tell me her story, people that know me know that I am seldom at a loss for words, but I literally started crying and my mouth was open and I had no words. Like, it is amazing to me what you have gone through, but to still have that light behind your eyes and to still be so strong. Oh. It's absolutely amazing, and I want to get right into it. So, sure. Angelique, tell us, how did you find out that you had breast cancer?
Well, I'm going to keep the humor going with
this. Please.
I tend to be one of the few people who can probably say that tanning saved my life.
Yay! Well, I don't need a tan. I mean, yay for those of you that tan, but
you're very, very blessed with your beautiful caramel skin there.
Thank you.
But what happened is I was tanning for New Year's Eve. My husband and I had decided that this was going to be the first year we were going to get all dressed up. We were going to go out with friends and have a really romantic dinner. And so, of course, women, we want to look our best.
Absolutely.
And so I spent probably 3 months tanning twice a week, just trying to get all prepared.
Trying to get to this.
Exactly.
I hear you.
Exactly. Because it doesn't come easy, even being half Italian. But anyways, so one night, actually it was December 30th, I had come home from tanning and taken a shower because, you're all oily and you want to get that crap off. And I was putting lotion on my body because, when you tan, your skin tends to dry out. And so...
Or so I've heard.
Yeah. Again. Yeah. So I was putting on lotion, and as I was rubbing my breasts, I found this hard spot. And it's funny because I've heard people refer to it as a lump, but what I actually felt more like maybe $50.
Oh, wow.
So it sort of felt flat, but still circular. And it felt like it was right up underneath the skin, near my areola. Okay, so I'm not trying to get too graphic here, but let's be honest.
Graphic. This is important.
So right up underneath the areola, and it was hard and flat. And when I pushed on it, I thought, I don't remember ever feeling this before.
This makes me want to touch my boobs.
Yeah, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, which is good. People, go out,
absolutely.
Touch your boobs.
Yes, feel yourself up.
Do it now. Although, unless you're in the office, and maybe that wouldn't be such a good thing.
Or in your car, hands on the wheel.
Right.
Okay.
Very good. So, that it just was really weird. I remember waking my husband up. He was asleep, and I said, "You've got to feel this. You've got to feel this." And, he feels it, and I was 33. And he's like, "Oh my gosh, I'm sure you're fine. Go to bed." And I couldn't help but get over the fact that I felt like this just didn't feel right. And I hadn't ever spoken to anybody who'd had breast cancer, and so I never really got, well, what did it feel like for you? I just had this suspicion that I needed to have it checked out. And as you know, being 33, I had never had a mammogram.
Right.
Typical insurance doesn't order mammograms to start preemptively until you're 40.
Which, is absolutely ridiculous to me in this day and age with the number of women that are discovering this about themselves under the age of 40.
Absolutely.
The fact that they can't get a mammogram through their insurance. We're going to have to do another episode on that topic completely. Yeah.
No, I agree. So I knew I needed to do something about it, and I have to tell you, it was probably the worst New Year's Eve ever because, the very next day we're at dinner, and the entire time I just keep telling my husband, if this is cancer, then we have to blank.
Do something.
Or if this is cancer, then this is going to change blank. And he kept saying, "You're just too young. You need to snap out of this funk. You're fine. You're fine." And I'm just thinking, how soon is it going to be, or how long is it going to be before I can get in to see my doctor? Because it's the holiday weekend, and if you remember, this was just 2012. This was last year.
Wow.
And so the holiday actually fell on a Sunday, and so all of the businesses were closed Monday. So I couldn't get in first thing Monday. So, here it was, this kind of long weekend, and I'm just stressed. I was totally stressed. And so I went in to see my gynecologist. It was time for my annual anyways, and I'm very, very strong in believing that we need to go for those annual exams. So
absolutely,
ladies, apart from the mammograms,
go
and have your pap smears, all those unfun things.
Keep your lady parts in check, girls.
That's it. Yes. Definitely. So I went in, and my gynecologist said, I think that you're probably fine. I had an augmentation done 6 or 7 years before. He said, it's probably just scar tissue. And I looked at him and I said, I don't recall this being scar tissue, and the surgery was so long ago, and it just seems like it's in a weird place.
And because you would have felt it, because that's not the first time you felt yourself up after 6 years.
Exactly. And the other thing is that I had the BRCA analysis done.
Please, and before you go on, explain to myself and the audience what is the BRCA analysis, because in my research I did a lot of reading about what that is, but please share it with everyone if you would.
Sure. The BRCA analysis is a very unique blood test that they do now to check out the gene, and it's BRCA1 gene, BRCA2 gene. And those genes, when they look through your whole stem of DNA, will help to indicate if you are prone to getting either breast cancer or ovarian cancer.
Okay.
Now, my aunt, who is also my godmother, passed away 3 years ago now, from breast cancer. I also had another aunt who survived breast cancer. My mother had uterine cancer. I lost an uncle to cancer. I have another uncle who survived cancer.
Oh, my goodness.
And my grandmother died of breast cancer. So needless to say, cancer has inundated our entire family. And so I was very concerned when my aunt passed away and that was her diagnosis.
Right.
And so I had the BRCA analysis done. Ironically enough, it's just a simple blood test. They send it away. They get the results back in. A week later, my BRCA analysis came back negative.
And the thing is, though, that's not surprising, because in the research that I did, it said that it is a myth that if you have a family history of breast cancer, you're likely to develop it as well. Because statistically, most women who have breast cancer don't have a family history of it. So it's not surprising to me that your BRCA analysis came back negative, but what's great is that you still went with your gut and pursued it further because you knew something wasn't right. Please
Absolutely.
continue.
Well, and the thing is with the BRCA analysis, when you get that negative, I think what we want to make sure that the listeners hear and understand and acknowledge is that you shouldn't let it be a false sense of security.
Absolutely.
Because I can tell you, when I got those results back in, I thought, phew, I just dodged a bullet.
Right.
That's cool. Everybody in my family who had it in their elder years. 33 is definitely nowhere near that.
Absolutely.
And so again, I had this false sense of security. So I would just urge you listeners, and you, Dana.
Yes, absolutely. No, I like me. I touch myself quite frequently.
So don't let that, persuade you to
Right.
believe that you're safe.
Right.
And, I hate to use that word, but, you need to be cognizant of it.
Absolutely.
So my gynecologist had said, you know what, I'll go ahead and send you for a mammogram. I don't think it's anything. He sent me off. I went to the radiology company, and he was so sure it was nothing that he only ordered a left side mammogram. So here I had never had a mammogram done before. And he, instead of doing both to get a clear reading, just ordered the left side, which is where I had found the lump. So I went in the morning. It was probably about 9:30. I had my mammogram done, and that tech, I have to give a shout out to the mammogram tech that I saw at the Rose Radiology location in Wesley Chapel.
Yay, Wesley Chapel!
Yes, she was amazing. The first thing she said is, "You've never had a mammogram, have you?" And for anybody with fake breasts, they are so even more unpleasant.
Oh, no. Yeah, see, mine are real, and I've never had a mammogram, but I cannot imagine. Do they squish it into the machine?
They squish, and the thing is, they're trying to squish and at the same time push back the implant.
Right.
Oh, no good. No good.
Okay.
Although I have to say the bright side for me is that I will never again have another mammogram.
There you go.
Once and I was done. But so she was very pleasant, and she talked me through it as much as possible. And she said, "Okay, I'm gonna have the radiologist kind of take a look at this, make sure everything's good. Have a seat." And so I waited for about half an hour. And she came out and she says, the radiologist just sees some things. He wants you to come back and have an ultrasound today. And I remember thinking how funny it was, because I went to check out and the woman at the front desk said, we don't have any openings today. We'll get you in next week. And around the corner, the radiologist shouted back to her, "You get her in today."
Wow.
And so, that doesn't happen often.
No.
That the doctors interfere with the scheduling.
Right.
So at that point I thought,
Divine
okay,
intervention.
and this probably isn't a good thing. So they brought me back in that afternoon, and I have to say I had just the exact opposite experience with the ultrasound tech, which was a little saddening because now my anxiety level is a little bit higher even.
Right.
And so I'd asked her, it's Friday, am I going to get any results today? She says, "You'll hear from your doctor next week." And I was like, really? Can't hear anything sooner? And I just remember her specifically saying, "No, you'll hear from your doctor. It'll be next week." Okay, whatever.
Oh, you had to wait a week?
Actually, I didn't.
Oh, okay. So then hold that thought. We're going to take a break, but when we come back, we're going to hear more of Angelique's story, and I'm telling you, you're not going to want to miss this. But we're also going to get into some breast myth or breast cancer myths versus facts, and just some fun booby facts in general. So come right back. We'll be back in a moment. This is Happy Hour. I'm Dana Pepper. It's no secret that I'm a huge fan of happy hours. And there have been times when I'm sitting in a restaurant bar and I overhear the strangest conversations. And I know as loud as I am, people have overheard some of mine. So what about you? What's the most bizarre or scintillating happy hour conversation you've ever had or overheard? Submit your story and you could win lunch for 2 at the Center Club. Then listen to Happy Hour with Dana Pepper every Thursday afternoon at 3 to hear the winning story. Go to facebook.com/Happy Hour with Dana Pepper. Dating. That delicate dance of intimate recreation. Well, some experts are saying that traditional dating is dead. So what is the latest and greatest in the dating game? Could there be a revolutionary new breakthrough in dating? On the next Happy Hour with Dana Pepper, we'll get some dating do's and don'ts and learn the secrets to successful dating from a dating and relationship expert. Happy Hour with Dana Pepper every Thursday afternoon at 3 on the TAN Talk Radio Network. At Cremations of Greater Tampa Bay, nothing is more important than family. Funeral director TJ Cohen is available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. His experience and compassion brings peace of mind to those dealing with the death of a loved one. Call TJ at Cremations of Greater Tampa Bay at 813-235-0945. That's 813-235-0945. Cremations of Greater Tampa. Compassion, experience, service. Welcome back to Happy Hour. I'm Dana Pepper, and today we are doing our salute to breasts in honor of Breast Cancer Awareness Month. And my guest today is Miss Angelique Newman, who is an amazing breast cancer survivor. And Angelique is also the new director of the Employee Cancer Assistance Program for RN Cancer Guides here in Tampa. But Angelique, you were just telling us, you were right in the middle of your story and how you discovered that you had breast cancer, and you pretty much discovered it on your own as a result of tanning.
Absolutely.
Of all things. But you had some divine intervention there, and we're going to pick it up right there. But if you have a story to share, then I want to invite you to call in. If you're local in the Tampa Bay area, then dial 727-441-3000. If you're not local, no worries. Call toll-free, 866-826-1340. We want to hear your stories because it's Happy Hour, and what's Happy Hour unless we can share some stories? So, Angelique, finish telling us your story. We're going to pick it up right as the radiology tech intervened and got you an appointment the same day that you had your ultrasound because they noticed that there was an abnormality.
Mm-hmm. When I left, I was expecting that it would be about a week before I heard back from my doctor. Mm-hmm. Before I even made it home, the radiologist called me.
Oh, my goodness.
And said, we think that we found something and we need you to go have it biopsied. So contact your OBGYN and find out who they want to refer you to. So immediately I'm stressed. I call my OBGYN. I had to wait 2 weeks before I could get in for my biopsy.
How does that feel when you knew even a week before then that something was not right? Mm-hmm. Now you have to wait another couple weeks, and medical professionals have identified that something is not right. What are you feeling in that moment?
I had so many emotions running through my head. A lot of anxiety, mm-hmm. naturally, a lot of frustration. I kept wishing that somebody would cancel so I could get in sooner.
Right.
And I didn't want to alert anybody. I didn't want to upset anybody until I knew something definite. And so it made it very complicated to kind of go on just living your daily life because mm-hmm. I needed to tell people, I've got doctor's appointments, so on and so forth. And I'm a very open person.
Right, I know, I love it.
And so, I tend to be just very off the cuff. And because it was such a topic that's dealt with so cautiously, I didn't want to put it out there and then be like, oh no, everything's fine.
Right.
So, it was hard because I was internalizing a lot of it, and I was very stressed. And luckily I had some fabulous, amazing friends who went out with me after work, and they helped me pass the time. And my husband was fantastic as well, and my daughter, and so I was very blessed from that perspective. I made it through.
Excellent. Well, now tell me, when did they officially diagnose you with breast cancer, and what was going through your mind at that moment?
I went in and had the biopsy, and again, even the surgical oncologist felt like it was probably nothing he'd said. And he said, but we'll go ahead and do the biopsy. But he was very upfront with me, and while he was in the midst of the biopsy, he said, Mrs. Newman, I have to tell you, it looks a little worse than I had initially thought. And when I left there, I called my mother and I told her, what he had said. And he called me back. He said it would be about the end of the week. The biopsy was done on Tuesday. And he called me Wednesday at 11:30 over the phone and said, Mrs. Newman, I hate to tell you this, but you are right. You've got breast cancer.
Oh, my. Describe that moment. Because I can't. I'm an empath. I can feel you, but describe that moment.
It was astounding. I remember thinking, you know what? I knew it. I knew it. Everybody kept saying no. And I was so thankful that I'd prepared myself for the worst.
Right.
And immediately I started asking questions. And ladies and gentlemen out there, I can only assure you that in this world, and with the health insurance the way that it is, or with coverages and physicians seeing as many patients as they do a day, don't sell yourself short. Be an advocate for yourself or your loved ones and ask questions.
Absolutely, because and I'm glad that you said ladies and men, because one of the interesting breast myths that I discovered was that the myth is men do not get breast cancer. It affects only women.
Right.
Well, that could not be more wrong, because as a matter of fact, it's estimated that approximately 2,100 men are diagnosed with breast cancer every year. And of that number, 400 plus of them die. So men, do yourself a favor. You should be doing a breast self-exam as well.
Absolutely.
I mean, do it in the shower, do it while you're doing other things, but be an advocate of your own health. Absolutely.
Yeah. And so, I remember talking to him, and he was very empathetic, and I could sincerely feel his concern for having to tell me that. And I started writing notes. And at first he said, Mrs. Newman, are you there? And I was like, oh yeah, I was just writing what you were saying. He's like, oh my gosh, I thought you passed out. And I started laughing, and I said, no, I want to know everything I can know at this very minute. And I remember texting my husband actually, and I said, I'm going to be out of work a little early today. And how about you meet me at home? We spent a little extra quality time together. And so that was 11:30, and I got home probably around 4 o'clock, and my husband walked in the door, and I said, well, I've got some news, and I've got good news and bad news. And my daughter was sitting at the dining room table doing her homework. She was just finishing up 8th grade. And I looked up at him, and I said, well, the good news is I got my results back early.
Yay!
And he was ecstatic. He's like, very good. And I said, but the bad news is I've got breast cancer. And so,
please don't make me cry.
I promise.
Angeline.
I'll smile while I'm talking. Maybe that'll keep you from crying.
You do. You have such an amazing spirit, but continue.
So, I told my husband, and he says, well, what do we need to do? And I said, I'm not really sure. Next step is an MRI. They needed to finally test the other breast, since I'd only had the one left mammogram done. And I said, and we take it from there, and we see what phase, what level, all of that good stuff. And so I called my parents and told them, and the family was very shaken up,
right, of course,
but unbelievably encouraging and generous and thoughtful, and immediately prayers
Absolutely,
were coming,
of course.
And that was fantastic.
Yeah, it is so important to have a strong support system, and thank goodness you had one in place and ready to go. I want to take a call right now. Sandy, are you on the line?
I am. I'm right here.
Hi, Sandy. How are you?
I'm good. How are you, Dana?
I'm fabulous, and thank you so much for calling in and sharing in this with us. So tell me, how has breast cancer affected your life?
I'm a breast cancer survivor.
Yay! Warrior Queen.
Yay. I was diagnosed 6 years ago, so I'm past this 5-year part where everybody's on pins and needles until they hit 5 years. And I was too. So I'm a 6-year survivor.
Well, Sandy, tell me, what got you through it all? Like when you found out that you had it and you were going through the process, what got you through it?
I think humor.
I'm a big fan of humor.
I would agree with that.
I think that I found humor in a lot of things. Like there's a lot of things that people don't talk about with breast cancer.
Like what?
When I was going through chemo, I'm telling you, pooping was like pooping shards of glass.
Oh no!
Yeah.
Ow!
So people didn't really talk about it. Well, I had a blog. And it was, ironically, my blog is called Sandy's.
We might have to engage my engineer for that. Hi, Cedric. He's amazing, but Cedric, this might be the you get that button on.
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead, Sandy.
So, and literally, I was talking about my poop, and so I put on there that this is painful, like very, very painful. And people started sending me prunes.
Oh, to help you out.
Friends.
But it's amazing, though, the community that rallies around this issue. And it's not just awareness, but it's true advocacy. And one of the things that we're going to talk about later on in the show is My Hope Chest. And one of their mantras is, enough awareness, let's take action.
I love it.
So when we come back, we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about some more myths and some interesting, fun breast facts. So stay tuned. We'll be right back. You're listening to Happy Hour. Dating. That delicate dance of intimate recreation. Well, some experts are saying that traditional dating is dead. So what is the latest and greatest in the dating game? Could there be a revolutionary new breakthrough in dating? On the next Happy Hour with Dana Pepper, we'll get some dating do's and don'ts and learn the secrets to successful dating from a dating and relationship expert. Happy Hour with Dana Pepper every Thursday afternoon at 3 on the TAN Talk Radio Network. At Cremations of Greater Tampa Bay, nothing is more important than family. Funeral director TJ Cohen is available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. His experience and compassion brings peace of mind to those dealing with the death of a loved one. Call TJ at Cremations of Greater Tampa Bay at 813-235-0945. That's 813-235-0945. Cremations of Greater Tampa. Compassion, experience, service. It's no secret that I'm a huge fan of happy hours. And there have been times when I'm sitting in a restaurant bar and I overhear the strangest conversations. And I know, as loud as I am, people have overheard some of mine. So what about you? What's the most bizarre or scintillating happy hour conversation you've ever had or overheard? Submit your story and you could win lunch for 2 at the Center Club. Then listen to Happy Hour with Dana Pepper every Thursday afternoon at 3 to hear the winning story. Go to facebook.com/Happy Hour with Dana Pepper. Welcome back to Happy Hour. I am your host, Dana Pepper, and I am joined today by the fabulous Angelique Newman, breast cancer survivor, warrior queen. And thank you so much, Sandy, for calling in and sharing with us your story and your website. I'm going to post that on danapepper.com, so if you want more information on Sandy's website and her pooping dilemmas during chemotherapy, it'll be there for you. I want to talk about one, I had found several breast cancer myths while doing my research for this show. And one of them, as I mentioned before, was that men do get breast cancer, and a significant number of men do. But also women, finding a lump in your breast doesn't mean that you have breast cancer.
That's very
In
true.
fact, only a small percentage of breast lumps turn out to be cancer. And the reason why that was important and significant to me is, because I'm blessed and endowed. I've got my girls. But, at certain times of the month, it's lumpier than other times. And so I always have to explain to my gynecologist when I go for my annuals, depending on when I go, Ignore that. Like that lump, that's there like every second week of every month. I recognize that lump. She and I are friends. So we've been here before. So girls, if you find a lump in your breast, it doesn't necessarily mean that you have breast cancer, but it doesn't mean that you should ignore it.
True.
Get a clinical breast exam. And if your insurance doesn't carry it, if your doctor won't give you a referral based on your health insurance, there are advocacy groups out there that can help and support and get it done for you. So do some homework, but it's absolutely worth it because, again, it is life and death. All right, so Angelique, let's get back to your story because I want to know, as you're going through this, I remember some of the things that you were telling me when we first met about your story and how challenging it was because not only were you going through breast cancer, right, at such a young age, but there were so many other things going on in your family that would level the average woman. Talk about some of those things, other things that you were going through. And then, because I want to know, what are the coping mechanisms that you use? Like, how did you manage to be, a parent and a wife and work and still have time to kick cancer's ass?
I did. I had a very extraordinary year last year, and unfortunately by extraordinary, I don't mean in a good way.
Right.
I had 6 surgeries and 4 months of chemo in all, and this was all in an 11-month time span. My last...
Now, 11 months, and is that abnormal to do so much in such a short amount of time, or
it really is. Normally, the reconstruction process alone will go over a 3 to 6 month period.
Okay.
And I had some other complications because of the type of cancer that I had. When I was diagnosed, I was stage 2 invasive cancer, and so I also had to have a full hysterectomy. I had an issue with the double mastectomies, which was my first surgery, so I had to go in for a revision, and so it just kind of compounded.
Now, for those of you listening that, and I don't want to insult anyone, obviously, but for those of you that don't know what a mastectomy is when you have to have a breast removed.
Correct.
So a double mastectomy is having both of them removed.
Right.
And I can't imagine going through something so incredibly traumatic.
Well, when I add it to the rest of the year,
right.
July 3rd was my last chemotherapy treatment, and that was the day that my mother-in-law was diagnosed with cancer. My business mentor also was battling cancer during my struggle and had passed away. My parents, who I love very, very dearly, and I'll say hello just because I'm sure they'll listen to a recording later,
yes.
Eugene and Dollarine Sackman, they moved to Birmingham out of state.
So part of your support system left the state.
Yes. And my husband also took a job where he started traveling 70% of the time.
So let me get this straight. You have just had a double mastectomy. You're recovering from breast cancer. You're on chemotherapy. Your parents move away. Your husband's out of state, and you are with child.
Yes. My daughter started her freshman year in high school last year.
Oh, my. So when I tell people about the amazing circumstances that you went through to get to where you are now, it blows my mind. So I need to know how you did it. What were the coping mechanisms? What are the adaptive strategies that you learned or acquired going through this?
Well, I'm going to reiterate something that Sandy said, which is humor.
Yes.
I took every single opportunity possible to laugh about the situation.
It's such good therapy.
It really is. You cannot take anything that you go through too terribly seriously.
Because life is what it is and none of us survive. So
Exactly. And that was really it. I remember one day it was a little bit chilly out and I was bald because I'd gone through my chemo. And I'd gone into my daughter's room and I was like, don't you have one of those knit hat thingies, beanies, something? And I was one of the few people that I actually lost a little weight during my chemo. So I had these jeans on, they were kind of baggy, and I had this shirt on, and I had no breasts, so of course the shirt was baggy. So I put on this beanie, and I remember I pulled it down because it was, without hair to kind of hold it up. It just kind of slid down my little bald head. And I looked at my daughter, and this is going to sound very incorrect. I'm so sorry. Please forgive me. I'm not prejudiced in any way, but I said, "Hey, what's up, vatos?" And my daughter almost peed her pants laughing. And, I did silly things like that all the time because I just thought it was so important. And I tried very hard not to let my family take it too seriously either.
Right. And especially you being the mother of a young girl, because you don't know what trials and tribulations your kids are going to go through.
Right.
But as you're going through them and they're witnessing them, you have to be the example for them of how to manage it, how to weather it, how to be that rock. And as women, that's so important for us to do for our kids. So, man, I so applaud you because, I think of myself as a strong woman, and I know in the back of my mind, there's nothing that's going to happen to me that I won't survive other than death. But I got to tell you, man, I hear your story, Angelique, and you're like a hero to me because that's a lot to go through, and to have to not only be your own support system, but then to be strong enough to keep up your sense of humor and your levity and your light for the sake of your daughter. As a parent, I applaud you.
Well, thank you.
Absolutely fantastic. All right, and so because I don't want to start crying, I'm going to do a fun breast fact.
Yes.
All right, so women, did you know that breast orgasms exist? Yes, I know. Look at Angelique's face. She's like, what is this? Yeah, I didn't know either, but in all this research I'm doing for today's show, women orgasming through nipple stimulation is an actual thing.
Is that why they use those little clampers sometimes? I've seen it in movies.
Now, I didn't go that deep into my investigation, Angelique, but I do know that 29% of women say that they've experienced a breast orgasm at one point or another. So, women, if you feel uncomfortable about massaging your boobs to give yourself a breast exam to find, abnormalities, then think about the upside. You can actually have an orgasm as a result. Because I swear to God, I read this and I was like, oh, let me start and see what can I do to start. It's time to start touching. All right. All right. So, Angelique, let's talk about My Hope Chest. Tell me what is My Hope Chest?
My Hope Chest is a grassroots 501c3 nonprofit. It's been around for 10 years. The founder, Elisa Savaretti, started it in Las Vegas when she was a showgirl.
Woohoo!
She had breast cancer, and she was without a breast for many years.
So she was, I think I remember reading about her. She was the lopsided showgirl. Awesome.
Yes, and she is such a spirit and such an inspiration. And what My Hope Chest does is we pick up where the other foundations leave off. So we get our referrals from Susan G. Komen, from the American Cancer Society, because what they do, unfortunately, it's very sad to me, they have all of these funds, and they're gathered through so many methods, which is fantastic. That's not the sad part. But they stop at treating the disease.
Right.
And unfortunately, for women or men, whomever, that doesn't make you feel whole again. Now, I will never say anything bad about anybody who chooses or opts not to have reconstruction. I think more power to you.
Absolutely, but it's a personal choice.
Yeah, you don't have to buy bras again. You don't have to worry about your nipples showing through shirts.
Right.
I think that's fantastic.
Absolutely.
But there are so many women specifically out there who feel like they need to be made whole again. And that's what My Hope Chest does. We fund reconstructive surgeries for patients who are uninsured or underinsured. We also work with our patients, who we call clients, since we're not the medical caregiver.
Right.
We work with our clients to help them understand their breast reconstruction options. And ironically enough, yesterday was National, what we call Bra Day.
Yes!
And
release the tatas! Yes, I saw that posting. That's swimming around Facebook, too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And now that stands for Breast Reconstruction Awareness Day. And it was just deemed by the American Cancer Society last year as the day, the 16th. And My Hope Chest had a huge event. Our annual Hope Floats event was down at Whiskey Joe's.
Nice.
And we had a fabulous MC because it was me outside. But we had wonderful guests. One of our fabulous physicians, Dr. Gayoso, came out and spoke. And we were inundated with support. People who came in, they bought auction items, they bought 50-50 raffle tickets.
Nice.
And we had a fabulous event. And so again, My Hope Chest focuses where the other agencies pick up Where the other agencies end, we pick up.
And here's why that's so important, because one of the things that I discovered in preparing for today is that, after a traumatic experience like breast cancer, in and of itself, could wreck someone mentally. But then you have a woman, and women, we are plagued with insecurities and body image issues and everything from adolescence. So you take a 30, 40, 50, 60-year-old woman, and now all of a sudden part of how she identifies herself as a woman is taken away from her. So my Hope Chest picks up there and helps these women get the reconstructive surgery that they need in order to feel like whole women again. Mm-hmm. But that brings me to another question, Angelique. After you went through all of this, and after you had your double mastectomy, how did it affect your body image and your sense of feminine sexuality? How did it affect you and your husband in that regard?
Well, honestly, we went through different phases. Mm-hmm. I can remember, I think I only cried 3 times through the entire year.
Oh, God, I'm a crier. I've cried twice during this episode.
I remember when I was in the hospital, they were, everybody was like, oh my gosh, you're such a trooper. You were amazing. You did so good. You came out of surgery so well and recovery and da-da-da. And I was so blessed. I had my sister, my older sister, my younger sister, one of my younger sisters, my husband, my daughter, my mom and my dad there. And the stupidest thing came up. I was eating ice cream and I was like, oh, this is the best ice cream ever. That's what happens when you've been knocked out for 5 hours,
Right.
But I remember I was really fine in the hospital, and you got all this stuff and you're taped up and you feel just weird. I mean, you feel like you've been run over by a truck and all this stuff. But when I was wheeled out of the hospital by my husband and I hit the light of day, I distinctly remember it was the sunlight on me. I lost it. And my husband went to get the car, and my mom and dad were standing there, and I just looked at my mom and I said, I'm just never going to be the same. Oh. And that was really gut-wrenching. And I have to say, it gets better, though. And again, my husband was amazing. He got me home. He helped bathe me, because unfortunately there's so many other side effects that you just don't think of.
Yeah, I know. I read about one. It was like chemo brain.
That's my term, yes.
But explain what chemo brain is, and then we'll get back to your whole sexuality. But
chemo brain is the term. I don't know who else has coined it, but I'm claiming it for the show.
Okay.
And chemo brain is what I say when I struggle to find words, because when you go through chemotherapy, it really does affect the cognitive senses.
Right.
And chemo brain.
There you go.
The
synapses don't fire.
That's exactly it. Yeah, they don't fire the way they used to. So now I do these stupid games all night. My husband looks at me. He's like, what the heck are you doing? I'm like, I'm trying to get the synapses firing so that when I'm sitting in front of somebody, or if I'm doing public speaking or whatever it may be, I know what the heck I'm going to say.
Right. And you can think 3 steps ahead.
Exactly.
Right. So when is it that you started to feel like you could engage in intimacy again with your husband?
That was it was a difficult subject because he was traveling so much. But once I really felt that I was healing, that the incisions were healing, because I have to tell you, they're very large incisions. It runs all the way from your armpit all the way to your sternum, basically.
Oh my goodness!
On both sides,
right in the middle of your chest. Yeah.
All the way in. So kind of almost a horizontal line, but it was more angled. And really, once I started to see the incisions healing and whatnot, is when I was much more comfortable with that type of intimacy. For a while, because again, I had nothing other than scarring, and it was very sensitive. I would keep on like a little shelf bra or a little tankini or something, and that helped me to still feel pretty, and that was useful.
Because it's so important for us to feel pretty.
We're
girls.
Exactly.
We want to feel pretty.
Exactly.
Yeah. So we're going to take a break. We are still going to take your calls. If you'd like to call in and share your story, we do still have a little time left. Give us a call at 727-441-3000 or toll free 866-826-1340. When we come back, we're going to talk about some more fun, interesting booby facts. This is Happy Hour. I'm Dana Pepper. Dating. That delicate dance of intimate recreation. Well, some experts are saying that traditional dating is dead. So what is the latest and greatest in the dating game? Could there be a revolutionary new breakthrough in dating? On the next Happy Hour with Dana Pepper, we'll get some dating do's and don'ts and learn the secrets to successful dating from a dating and relationship expert. Happy Hour with Dana Pepper every Thursday afternoon at 3 on the TAN Talk Radio Network. At Cremations of Greater Tampa Bay, nothing is more important than family. Funeral director TJ Cohen is available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. His experience and compassion brings peace of mind to those dealing with the death of a loved one. Call TJ at Cremations of Greater Tampa Bay at 813-235-0945. That's 813-235-0945. Cremations of Greater Tampa. Compassion, experience, service. It's no secret that I'm a huge fan of happy hours. And there have been times when I'm sitting in a restaurant bar and I overhear the strangest conversations. And I know as loud as I am, people have overheard some of mine. So what about you? What's the most bizarre or scintillating happy hour conversation you've ever had or overheard? Submit your story and you could win lunch for 2 at the Center Club. Then listen to Happy Hour with Dana Pepper every Thursday afternoon at 3 to hear the winning story. Go to facebook.com/Happy Hour with Dana Pepper. Welcome back to Happy Hour. I am your host, Dana Pepper, and I'm joined today by the fabulous warrior queen, Angelique Newman. So I've been promising some fun and interesting booby facts, and so I want to share a couple of them with you. But before I do, if you are a fan of the show, please tell your friends about it, and please like the fan page at facebook.com/Happy Hour with Dana Pepper. You can participate in contests, win some prizes, and definitely share your story or submit ideas for topics for the show, because it's happy hour, so the more the merrier, but you got to participate. All right, so a fun breast fact. I thought I was the only one, but I found out that medically, the left breast tends to be larger than the right. Did you know that?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, okay. So
actually.
I thought I was the only one, but it gave me a lot of comfort to know that it is an actual thing, and it's perfectly normal for women to have one breast that's larger than the other. So ladies, if you're lopsided, wear it proudly. No worries. And another interesting booby fact is that antiperspirants and deodorants cause breast cancer. Well, that's a myth, because they really don't. Right. But I remember when I was in the 7th grade many moons ago, like, I did not wear deodorant that entire school year.
Dana, I'm so glad I recently met you.
I know, right? Recently, right? Because seriously, the whole year in 7th grade, like, I'm starting to develop boobs, and I'm thinking I don't want to wear that stuff because I don't want cancer in my new boobs. So not only did I have like the bad acne that everybody has during adolescence, but I walked around smelling like a farm animal. Yeah, it was real. It was so hot. Yeah, it was real attractive. All right. So we're going to get into more fun facts, and before we end the show today, we're going to talk about breast cancer risks and how you can avoid them. But Angelique, I want to give you an opportunity to talk about RN Cancer Guides and the advocacy that group is doing and your hand in it, because I think that that's really important for all of us to learn more about how we can get involved and what advocacy groups are out there to help us do just that.
Thank you. That's fabulous. Yeah, RN Cancer Guides is an amazing organization. And my role as director of the Employee Cancer Assistance Program is to partner with employer groups. Mm-hmm. So there are self-funded employers where they incur a portion of the cost of the health insurance, not just the insurance itself, but the health care costs. Right. And the Employee Cancer Assistance Program, which I'm going to call ECAP from now on, because that's a mouthful. What we do is we partner with the employers, and we provide oncology certified nurses to help their employees who are either diagnosed directly or whose family members are diagnosed with cancer. Any type of cancer. I love that. And those oncology nurses will help them navigate through their cancer journey. We like to call ourselves the nurse in the family because they are so compassionate and caring, but their level of expertise, because each person has the services of an OCN, oncology certified nurse, in their specific field. So whether it be breast or renal or any neuro, any specific
and
area.
even for men, prostate, like anything.
Absolutely.
It is a true cancer advocacy.
Yes. And so the program is provided by the employers. So for any, employers out there who do benefits managing or things like that, we're here. It's brand new. It's a brand new industry. This has never been done where it's been designed specifically for cancer. It's amazing.
I absolutely love that, because every little bit that any individual or group can do, the better. And that's what the awareness is all about.
And just so our listeners know also, we also provide services to individuals. So they can find us on www.rncancerguides.com.
I love it. rncancerguides.com. All right. So what can you do to minimize your risks for breast cancer? Well, I've got the top 5 risks, and some of them I didn't know, but I'm going to start with the most obvious one, which is stress. Minimize your stress, whatever you can do, because studies have shown that as a result, not as a result of the traumatic experience that people go through in and of itself, but it's how the individual reacted to the traumatic experience. How did they handle it? How did they weather it? That amount of stress is going to determine how your immune system functions. And when your immune system is lowered, that's how cancer cells have the opportunity to get in there and get established in someone's body. So you do yoga. Like, I have a girlfriend, Larita Vasquez. She is in yoga school right now. And as soon as she opens up her yoga classes, I'm going to be student number 1, because
do happy hour with Dana Pepper from the yoga room.
Yes, I'm going to do it. Larita, I'm there. So, and here are some interesting ones. Like, for example, being on birth control pills, because of the amount of the hormones contained in birth control pills, it's recommended that you not stay on the pill for more than 5 years at a time. So women, if you've been on the pill for 3, 4, 5 years, get off. Give your body a break. You can always go back to it. But in the meantime, try some alternative contraception. Smoking. That's not going to be a surprise to anyone. Smoking is a confirmed risk factor for all types of cancer, not just breast cancer, all types of cancer. And I'm not saying that from a soapbox. I mean, I was a smoker in college and even a few years afterwards, but the sooner you quit, the healthier you'll be. Here's another interesting one that I didn't know. Angelique, maybe you knew this, but the longer a woman has her period, the more likely she is to have breast cancer.
I had no clue.
Yes. So if you begin your period before the age of 12 and you don't start menopause until after 55, that span of time makes you more susceptible to breast cancer. And there's nothing you can do about that. What are you going to do? Stop menstruating?
Well, and I did start early, so that's very ironic.
Yeah.
Although I didn't have to wait till I was 50. You know what I mean?
Well, we still don't know.
So young, yeah.
And last but not least, and this is the one I like the least, but drinking alcohol.
Really?
Drinking alcohol, yes. So all I'm going to say about that is moderation is key, and I am no one to talk, because I, again, believe that a bottle of wine is the best accompaniment to life in general.
Yes.
But in some cases, drinking 1 glass of wine a day can help can keep you heart healthy.
Now that I have heard.
Have heard.
I'm a testament to that.
I am a testament to that too. I have a very healthy heart.
Me too.
Well, as much as I hate to end this episode of Happy Hour, we are drawing to a close. But I do want to share a couple interesting facts with you, and that is, Angelique, did you know that there were 4 types of nipples? Look at your face. Yeah, there's normal, there's flat, there's puppy, and there's inverted. Like, puppy? I don't know which one I am, but but it's there.
Puppy?
And puffy.
Puffy. Oh,
puffy.
Okay.
No.
And
once again, I hate to pick on the smokers, but smokers, you're going to have saggier boobs than the non-smokers. So, yeah, beware of the chemicals in cigarettes. All right. Well, that's going to do it for this edition of Happy Hour. Special thanks to my sponsors, Cremations of Greater Tampa Bay and the Center Club. And thank you, Angelique Newman, for being here and for sharing your amazing story with us. You're an inspiration to me. I'm sure you are to many other women out there. And thanks to all my listeners and my callers who shared their stories of strength and survival. You were all warrior queens. And honestly, folks, getting involved can be personally rewarding, and it can help impact the lives of others. So whether you enroll in a study, you serve as an advisor, or volunteer for an advocacy group, make a difference in someone else's life just because you can. Being involved makes you a part of the progress being made in the fight against breast cancer. So be someone's hero, okay? And once again, if you're a fan of the show, then like the fan page on Facebook.com/Happy Hour with Dana Pepper. Participate in contests, win some prizes. If you've got something you want to talk about or a story you'd like to share, then email me at happyhourwithdanapepper@gmail.com. Thank you all for joining me again today for Happy Hour. I had a blast. I hope you did too, and I hope you learned something. But in honor of breast cancer awareness, I would like to propose a toast.
I
propose a toast to your health, your wealth, love, and happiness. I'm Dana Pepper. Cheers.
WTAN, Clearwater, Tampa Bay. WDCF, Dade City, Tampa Bay. WZHR, Zephyrhills, Tampa Bay. Listen,